Okay, Mark, take it away.
Well, thank you, John. This is a great show tonight. We're featuring authors from Madres Press, and also we'll have a brief chat with Robert and Elizabeth Murphy, who run the press. But before we do that, let's do a little warm up on the mic with my co-hosts, which we start with Jeffrey. Jeffrey Cyphers Wright, who received his MFA studying with Allen Ginsberg. He's best known as a new romantic poet. He's also a publisher, critic, eco-activist, impresario, filmmaker, puppeteer, and artist. Jeffrey is the author of 19 books of verse, including Blue Lyre, which came out from Dos Madres, and Party Everywhere. His poems have appeared in the Cafe Review, New American Writing, the Brooklyn Rail, the Hurricane Review, Posit. His recent work also appears in the anthologies Best American Poetry, New York Insiders, and Contemporary Surrealist and Magical Realist Poetry. Jeff's latest work is a book of sonnets and artwork called Doppelgangster, which came out from my own Madres Press. And he recently won the Sir Vision James Tate Prize. That book is also already out, and he publishes Live Mag. Thanks, Jeff.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Yes, Dos Madres. I had the hat I wore it right out. I'm glad you reminded me. I'm going to get another one. It was great. I'm going to read a little poem, a sonnet called Getting Off. So we hung out in the back of Hecate's and broke the laugh meter, the Countess getting points for her spiky black shades. Jeweled bees buzz over white Cleames, nothing under my feet but neon dust. Rays of warble light gild marble glades. Buried in the news, UAE bombs Yemenis. Dream I am a guide in a dreamporium. You get a discount for being interesting. Just mention de Maupassant, for instance. In Washington Square's derelict area stands Manhattan's oldest upright citizen, an English elm, aka the hanging tree. Getting off together, we pretend to win. So I got that rhyme with citizen in there. Getting off together, we pretend to win. And getting off has several meanings. Anyway, I hope we're all getting off today. And I'm going to next introduce our lovely long-term co-host, Miss Cassandra Atherton. And Cassandra, as you may know, is from down under. Are you from Sydney, Cassandra? Or Melbourne?
No,
Sorry.
how dare you say that? We have huge rivals in Sydney. No, I'm from Melbourne.
Okay, whoops. No, I didn't do that on purpose. No.
Right.
But Cassandra is from Melbourne, and she's an award-winning prose poet and international expert on prose poetry. Her prose poetry is widely anthologized and has been translated into Japanese, Chinese, and Korean, and maybe even American. Cassandra, she's published more than 30 books. That's one a year since she was born.
Oh,
And
how kind of you.
yes, you're currently writing an illustrated book of prose poetry on the Hiroshima Maidens with funding from the Australia Council and the Victorian government. Cassandra co-wrote Prose Poetry and Introduction and co-edited the Anthology of Australian Prose Poetry. She's commissioning editor for Westerly Magazine and professor of writing and literature in Melbourne, Australia. Please give a warm Lit Balm welcome to Cassandra Atherton.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jeff. It's nice to be back. I've missed you all. I've missed my Lit Balm family. I'm going to read a prose poem. I think I read a draft of it earlier, but it's being published in a really great journal called Coastlines by my friend Aidan Coleman. So I'm going to read it. It's called Hiroshima Sublime. First, there is nothing. Second, there is something, but it's nothing. I'm not writing anything. I am writing everything. No one will read it. It will be forgotten by next year, next month, tomorrow, now. I remember everything. I see you drinking gin by the window. The bottle is like neon or cherry blossom, as pink as pinking shears. You cannot stay. I cannot leave. We meet in the middle. We part in the periphery. The atomic bomb dome remains. In the memorial mound, the remains are at rest. I don't remember what you said to me. Hiroshima is a metonym. Hiroshima is the atomic bomb dome cenotaph and bone dust. Hiroshima is bottles of water on shrines. Hiroshima is the eternal flame. When the cloud is described as a mushroom, it's organic. When the cloud is defined as Dante's Inferno, it's literature. When it is nameless, it is man-made. It cannot be insured against. That's State Farm policy. We walk through the Hiroshima Peace Park and you take my hand in silence. The sun warps the brim of my hat. It quiets the cicadas. We leave, we return, we don't talk about it. In the Hiroshima Prince Hotel, you stand your toast on its side so it doesn't get soggy with heat. We're late to breakfast, just edging in before 10 o'clock. My hair, a nest. You like your omelettes wet, but I prefer miso soup and 3 silver pieces of smoked mackerel. After I pour a tomato sauce heart on your plate, you call me your coddled egg, and we go back to our room. You straddle me in the blue of the Seto Inland Sea. I roll you onto your side and map the irregular coastline down your spine. I sleep with ghosts. I sleep in beds with the outlines of others on the mattress. Our memories are redacted, and we forget in black and white. I nap next to hollows in the middle of pillows. I am a pillow book. You are the lover. We begin to remember everything. And now I'm going to introduce the intrepid Mark Vincennes, and I love reading his bio, and if you remember parts of it, please join in. Mark Vincennes is a poet, fiction writer, translator, editor, publisher, designer, multi-genre artist, and musician. He's published many books of poetry, translations, and fiction, including more recently The Pearl Diver of Irun-Mani, The King of Prussia is Drunk on Stars, The Mayfly Codex, and the recently released Spells for the Wicked with Unlikely Books. Forthcoming poetry collections are Ironclad with Spite and Dival, All the Tricks of Language just about to come out from Dos Madres Press, and next year, No More Animal Poems from White Pine Press, also accompanied by a post-classical music and spoken word album, No More Animal Songs. A chapbook, Rocket Ship to the Andromeda Galaxy, was just released. Mark is also a prolific translator and translates from German, Romanian, Spanish, Icelandic, and French. He's published 12 books of translations, most recently an Audible Blue, Selected Poems 1963 to 2016 by award-winning Swiss poet and novelist Klaus Mertz, and you all know that it won the 2023 Massachusetts Book Prize for Translated Literature. His newest book of translations, In the House, Still Light by Klaus Mertz, is forthcoming in the fall. His own work has been translated into many languages, including Japanese, Chinese, Russian, French, Italian, Spanish, Romanian, Greek, German, and Icelandic. He is currently working on a novel entitled The Age of Occasions. Vincennes is editor and publisher of Madres Press and publisher of the Essential New American Writing. He's lived all over the world. Here we go, people, from Brazil to China to Iceland to India. He was born in Matilda Hospital on the Peak in Hong Kong, but now lives on a farm in rural western Massachusetts, overlooking Herman Melville's Greylock Mountain, Melville's inspiration for Moby Dick, where there are still more. Are you waiting for it? I know you are. There are still more round-headed apple tree borers, sharp-angled carpet moths, and thread-legged assassin bugs than 10-toed bipedal earthlings. That's tricky for early on a Sunday morning, Mark, but I love it. Please read something wonderful for us.
I shall try. Into a Desert. From All the Tricks of Language, just coming out with Dos Madres Press. A good pagan god lives within us, she said, like her counterparts, smelling of salts and spices, following a horizontal wind that stiffens the eyes. Would one night's sleep so soon be over? All these visitations in the dark, oh friends, do you see her dappling the shore? She's laid watch over you for centuries. Swirl that glass of wine. Pull your thoughts away from the olive plate. For those of you who toe the hard line, watch the sleepy-eyed child air out your lighthouses. Only this ominous, whispering, three-eyed creation might sail the air with you, might encourage your instinct to speak its mind. Or are you just water living in a clock? There are words only minnows know. And in the early morning at 4:45, when the palm frogs bellow, they see eternity's immobile double doors. A good God behaves. Of course, time follows. And now I am delighted to introduce Robert Murphy, whose amazing Dos Madres Press has been the venue for so many interesting, exciting, lyrical words. And Robert's poems have appeared in Smartish Place, in the Colorado Review, the Notre Dame Review, the Cultural Society, Marsh Hawk Review, Galatea Resurrects, and many more, in the Chicago-based journal Lung. Robert is the author of chapbook Not For You Alone, Life in the Ordovician, Selected Poems, and From Behind the Blind. He's also the 2000 winner of the William Bronk Foundation Prize for Poetry. Robert is also executive editor and publisher of Dos Madres Press, and he is married to the iconographer and painter Elizabeth Hughes Murphy, who is both the book designer and illustrator for Dos Madres Press. And I welcome you, Robert, and I welcome you, Elizabeth. Please tell us a little bit about Dos Madres before we begin. You guys able to unmute?
There we go.
Once upon a time, 20 years ago.
Once upon a time, 20 years, and two of the poems that Norman has heard these poems before. He's probably getting tired of them, but well, I'm talking. Yeah, the press would not exist without Norman. When I was 45 years of age, working in the family building business, I had written poetry or tried to write poetry on my knee and in my truck or whatever, wherever. My brother said, there's a prize being offered at the Greater Cincinnati Writers League. Why don't you enter? So I entered. I won the competition. And part of winning the competition was that Norman was one of the critics who showed up soon after. I gained a membership, and we poets came and read their work, and I read mine, and Norman said, after I read the particular poem that I'll read tonight, "Where have you been?" I was up to my knees in concrete for most of my life, and but after that, I must say, close to being miraculous, if not supernaturally so. He introduced me to William Bronk, who became my dear friend a short period at the end of his life and mentor. And in the early part of 20 years ago, we started Dos Madres Press. And because Elizabeth is a gifted painter, calligrapher, and it was just a perfect thing to do. And I owed much back to Norman, and as I've also discovered through all of you, so many of you people, a marvelous conversation that has gone on for 20 years and 400 titles, as I say, almost an impossible thing to have, could not have imagined that this would occur. And deeply grateful to Elizabeth, because without her, the press would be, just wouldn't be what it is. And of course, to all of you, which just has allowed the most extraordinary and unlikely conversation between people, between myself and you to occur. But never would have expected it, did not expect it, completely surprised by it, and absolutely humble in the face of what you have gifted me with in these 20 years. So again, beloved Dr. Norman Finkelstein there in his in his chair of commandment. Thank you for starting this, making this all happen. Yes, indeed. So I don't know if you want me to read at this point to start reading, or how do you want to continue on, young sir?
Totally. Please go ahead and read.
All right. Yeah.
We'll follow up with Norman, who of course is the other founder.
That's exactly right. Well, I'm going to read. I'll read 4 poems. It'll be my 13 minutes, I guess. The first 2 was brought about. The 2 poems that I'm going to read initially created the press. First one is called Oak. I keep a fire out of muscled wood, logs thick cut and rough as a mammoth's trunk. Coated with my maul, I swung with a paleo's bow to the cardinal virtues of the air. Slick with sweat twice warmed, I'm glad for the oak's slow burn. 7 generations wove light with dark, hung acorn and birdsong above my house. Came down of a morning from a grieved invisible wind, great bull buried 2 feet in the ground, and sat for days like a beached whale unsocketed from its grassy seas. It took with help a week to flence the concentric pulp, the rooty coils and tangled harpoons of its branches. But once rendered by the blade, stacked tall as it was wide, oil of spermaceti held rick by cord, enough ship to lamp 1,000 bitter nights. This evening, a mottled flicker dreams the walls, memory of sunlight through high cross leaves. Flames tire at the crow-scratched bark, then quickened, spread like deft fingers of the blind. Spider lights along the shattered core. Hawk-eyed sporks rise on wings of pitch. The nut in the belly of countless squirrels natters in the chimney top. One coal glows red as blood on the snout of a wild pig that gouged the winter turf from mast. Wounds that fall exposed, spring covers over with a trillium's heel. I must admit my druid's hearts all ache. Lord of trees, portion me winter heat like Christ doled among the believers. Cold nights like this I will sing praise for sparks, will divide and subdivide my prayers, give back to heaven what fell like green stars that plumped and filled my gutters till they flowed, a rain of seedling oaks. Rise, plenisher of my whiskeyed scrawls, sweet redemptive smoke, abstract of my body's burn. Rise past all my dampered helms, past all my creosoted towns. Be incense of comfort to troubled hearts, mingle with the mortal odors of the barn. Now guide this north wind home. Breakfast Alone. 3 parts. First one titled Alarm, second one Tea, and the third one Breakfast Alone. And the first part involves Actaeon, of course, was came upon the goddess Diana naked at her bath and her attendants, and surprised her, and she She had had his dogs chase him and, of course, tear him apart. And the second one is, the T is actually refers to Sigmund Freud and the fact that Sigmund Freud apparently fainted on hearing about the bog people. And the third one is sort of a cat and mouse. Yeah, cat and mouse game. Breakfast alone. Alarm. Nettled half awake or half in dream, in homage paid to that spring-fed wounded boy who carried his stripes, his chevron scars, his helmet's decal skulls, then fell to his own false hounds, a piecemeal mortal stag. All night the ravens of his brain stabbed at the bloody goblets till they turned, mourning familiar, and opened-eyed put on their human face. Shed of his rut and horn, of his forest musk, of the goddess at her bath, stripped of his hero's look that brought him to this pose, unkempt, unrested, yet he will gather to himself the usual body's animal unscrubbed warmth, and stagger to his feet, will dress and redress time's unrepentful and digital wrongs, that mirror in reverse the solid oak and orderly tableau of his wife's bureau. This morning he will not drink the leathern face of the bog man, whose stares caught Merlin from the peaty bottoms of his cup. He will not keep the tannic knot at his throat tightening, a ritual preservation of the last word. He does not want the paraphrase of thought trapped within the damp parchment of that smile, nor the dignity netted with the calm of that foreknowing. Today, at least, he thinks he will not fade breathless with imaginable closure, nor slip the earthly braid of his wish-filled coracle. He will not drift the unmetered lip of that rhymeless fen, nor as father strip the weave from his purposed full child. Breakfast alone. He wants to say that it maybe matters, that any silence sharp-nosed, mouse-tailed curled within the felt cochlea of its nest is also the tympanum of certainty, four-cornered, stretched across the painted pink of the kitchen walls, that the teacup of warmth having the lips is a likely benediction, no mere consolation for the stubbornness of loss, that there is a goodness in butter and toast, that God is on the tongue and in the digestion, that the perfection of the rose is rooted in the privy house, that it is all right to bend, to stroke the almost light of morning, not once, but twice, as it dips its head into the cereal bowl, that whatever licks the last of this milk opens the door to the day, lets the dark sigh out. And as I said, I had the great fortune to, in the last year of Bill Bronk's life, to had a wonderful series of letters. I could say passionate letters, went back and forth, and I made a pilgrimage to Hudson Falls. And Bill had me, he was 80 years old at the time and would pass away a few months later. He had a burning bush in his fronting his porch that he wanted trimmed for some reason. You know, but of course, burning bush, euonymus. It's here. It does grow wild here. It's tremendously, wonderfully scarlet bush, and for me, Bill Bronk was the closest thing to a divinity. When I first read Bill Bronk work, I could say as I suffered bronchitis, he wrote in a way and with a lyrical and a wonderful clarity that I could only hope. I couldn't even hope to duplicate, and of course wondered after that whether I had anything to say at all. So this is my trimming. He had me trim back his burning bush, and then the second poem is at his death, after his death, absence the greater presence. Say, this one had overgrown its place by being rooted here. Or what had risen to and over the porch might bring it down. Worried the electric lines, threatened the house within when in their dark. Yet better say it was the sun's own overreaching arch. Toward the clearer light, for the greater clarity, I did what you asked. It was a bloodless fall with little ornament. Warmed as I had to the task, losing these few remaining droops, stony seeds enclosed beneath the scarlet poise of their fruit's arrows. That inner perdurable, that second skin, living presence of the future past hung on those tributary forms, informing November's air among the deeper shadows of your greater trees. This euonymus, slender branches described in my botany as alate or winged, in the language of the body double-spined, almost cruciform, as if lacking the flesh for the perfection of the round. But once cut back, as you might have said, to its singular source, becomes the stronger for being made more stark, if a more severe calligraphy, the god pollarded. Or the voice of the god brought forth out of the self-sown wilderness, now red as the blackened bones of a possible fire. Now, as fingers pleading with a hand to stop, or if not to stop, to get on with it and let there be no end. I would have cleared the lot of every twig had you but wished off every tree to make it bare. Not barren, but a bare light for you to see the more of me. A naked light the dark might take to shine. Oh, I know you know its wills all grow back in time. Our graven winter solitary before us, roots tapped into its own summering embers, banked against the cold, must hold or wither and die out. First here, then there the greeny sprout, when next profusion spring breaks out. Absence the greater presence for William Bronk, 1918, 1999. He is perfect now, Henry Winefield. Oh, build the valley. Its want, if there be any want in a nature at once too near and too distant to be seen, is not the valley where your Hudson rows slow oars past your sleeping mill town without you. From where I stand looking as far as this light knows, the unseen world is a depthless plain beyond my window's reach, a double opacity, and by being night the deeper pall. The mind with one eye on the weather cannot see through or into. The face in reflection more fully obscures. The house always perilous, perched on the edge of a steep decline. Maybe the mice holding fort in the walls feel what we pretend not to, sure against knowing what truth there is to stand on. For all that I am uncertain and faith am fool to believe, yet believe it there. But what do I know of a world where nothing is real? The unthinkable world you thought so. Oh, Bill, the house is locked, is double bound in night and fog. And we are cold, rounded in a cloud. Nothing to hold on to, nothing to let go.
Nothing to let go of. I'm delighted now to introduce Norman Finkelstein, who is a poet, critic, editor, and emeritus professor of English at Xavier University. His most recent full-length volume of poetry is Feather Adventures from Dos Madres in 2023. He's also recently published 2 chapbooks, 4 episodes from the Bodily Press in 24, and On Love from Ola in 2025. To go into words, his selected essays appears in the Poets on Poets poetry series from University of Michigan Press in 23. He edits the poetry review blog Restless Messengers. We'll post the link in the chat, poetryandreview.com. Welcome, Norman.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Robert. It's really lovely to have a group Dos Madres reading like this. I'm going to read 5 poems, all of them relatively new, which is to say that they're not in any book as of yet. And 4 of them come from a sequence called After. And it's a double meaning for me, at least. These are poems that are after other poems, after other poets. And some of you know that my poetry is a poetry of commentary, and this makes that exceptionally clear. But it also resonates for me personally because so much of the work that I had done in the last, I don't know, 15 years or more had been more narrative poetry. Not exclusively, but more so. And I wanted to return to the lyrics. So this is after all that and returning to more lyric poems. So the first is after Auden's One Evening. As I walked out one evening or midsummer morning, whatever time of year for lovers meeting, I thought of all the ballads lodged in my brain, the ones I sang off key to relieve me of my pain. The glaciers are receding, the deserts are widening, the symbols are breaking, and what I'm finding is a kind of emptiness, domesticated wilderness, envelopes sealed with a kiss, sent to the wrong address. Time is not the issue then, however the clocks may sing. Something darker is at work. The children in a ring, and all the shadowy figures hieratically placed in the lane, or afloat on the teacup ocean, will not leave you alone. And the next is after Robert Creeley's The Door. What can I say of that which is already broken and scattered, rhymed, but tattered? All doors are magical, all gardens Victorian, all lovers are a renewal. She leaves town, but she returns. Dismemberment, displacement. Are these concerns or merely forms of permission that we seek over and over, taking a peek? As through a hole in the wall and not a door at all? Voyeur, then, without permission, because the forbidden is the magical, and only the transgressive is lawful. So the companions teach us, but only if they can reach us. This one is after a poem that might be a little less known. It's Michael Palmer's Letters to Zanzotto, letter 7 of that sequence. I think they're really extraordinary poems. So, dear M, the air here is much like the air there, and the airs here are much like the airs there. I know this because I have stopped breathing. I know this because I am breathless. I know this because I have watched the film or invented the film about the lovers hovering over the city and the way desire spells disaster above what is fated to become ruins or rooms or an arbitrary set of lines, sight lines or song lines, signs spoken over the din in a crowded hall or an empty street. And then there is this one after John Ashbery's worsening situation, which is one of my favorite Ashbery poems. As one broken upon a wheel or dropped from a great height upon jagged rocks, I have watched this murmuration, this perturbation, and have felt my limbs grow numb, however great my desire for flight. Will you then concede that what you call this vague disturbance is really something more? The party will go on till dawn, each of us having our moment on the dance floor, until the neighbors, having had quite enough, call the cops and shut the whole thing down. You had begun to tell me of your unlikely childhood, the abduction, the ransom, the return to the mansion where your parents worked, though they were often mistaken for the owners of the estate. It was another disaster, but strangely trivial in the passage of the years. The forest walks were never really frightening, for you had come to expect that some wild beast or witch, crossing your path, was only an illustration, a drawing in a book that you willingly put down upon being called to dinner. Meanwhile, the festivities continue. Everything depends on your continued anonymity, the vague nod of recognition, and the immediate forgetfulness of one or another passerby. This is how we win their approval on the days we have come to expect, the days when the inspectors roll up in their limousine. They take their time, almost strolling through each room, and saving a few minutes at the end of their visit for a question or two. This is how we answer them. And finally, a little ditty apropos of Jack Spicer. The myths swim by like dying fish in a dying ocean. In the heavenly nowhere of sweet platonic spirit land, Jack Spicer is laughing, mocking the metaphors swimming toward him from cloud to cloud. On the menu tonight is fried fish and free beer. Three myths walk into a bar. This is not a metaphor. Three fish walk into a bar, there on the shore, by a painted ocean. An ocean full of myths, driving us to drink, driving us nowhere, to sweet platonic spirit land. What will you have? The bartender asks. Jack and Coke, we reply. Thank you.
I bet Jack liked Jack and Coke too. Just seems like that kind of guy. Those were brilliant poems.
Thanks so much.
Obliged. Thank you so much.
Now we are delighted to hear Katie Lehman, who received an MFA from the University of Notre Dame in 1999. And while at Notre Dame, she was the recipient of the 1998 Billy Mage Academy of American Poets Prize, an award given to Notre Dame students, graduate or undergraduate, for excellence in poetry. From 2004 to 2010, she was assistant editor at the University of Notre Dame Press, and for many years she served as the personal editor for her former teacher, the American poet, translator, and David Jones scholar John Matthias. She's the editor of Matthias's Regrounding a Pilgrimage, a collaboration with John Peck and Robert Archambault, which came out from Dos Madres in 2018, and her debut poetry collection, Emily Dickinson's Lexicon, also by Dos Madres Press, published in 2023. Welcome, Katie.
I'm going to first read a poem about the famous Emily Dickinson daguerreotype. It's I'm sure you've seen it. her daguerreotype. Just prior to her portrait sitting, she stood next to the damask drapery, hem to hem, with its back layers of muslin and dimity to let in the sun, while the eager Mount Holyoke daguerreotypist immersed himself in the theatrics of setting up his camera obscura in all its myriad parts, leveling stand, copper plates coated on the face with silver nitrate, iodine and bromide boxes, cabinet and clamps, until his two arms with one gesture signal Emily to the unseen chair. Her bold chestnut burr hair is pinned back, her supply plump hands with long, narrowing fingers that crossed the laced ribbon around her neck just an hour before, now clasped the flowers she had turned quickly back to pick. Her light glancing eye had caught sight of them on her way there. Shoulders angling down, her right arm with inch-wide cuffs, Baroque tablecloth, a book, a Bible, form a still life with disembodied hand. Is that her finest brocade? Did she speak, smile? Her lips do not say in the absence of not just hers, but all 19th century teeth. How long did her erudite gaze linger in ambient light before her image over blue mercury flame materialized on a plate that would otherwise be a mirror? Before her likeness, her sherry-colored eyes, her wren-sized frame, as she wrote to Higginson, imprinted on history. But this is 1847, before she lost a world or felt a funeral in her brain, though a fixed melancholy has set in. At home on North Pleasant, her bureau is yet devoid of poetry, the 40 fascicles bound with string, but holds one green-bound herbarium in which she has already decided to depress the pansies with loosestrife stem. My next poem is called Monarch. Monarch. Cyclical and sparse, her eyelid-thin wings approach and disapproach among the grasses. Unassuming, she only covets what she knows, a single worn reed of herself, dark covert, uncoaxable as the worm she once was. Before the white spotted wings, before the stained glass veins, idling brown earth at close measure. Closer at length, but she knows closeness is not her answer. If it is a loveliness she feels or a kind of loneliness, only the husbandry of tears will make her radiance known. How her cautious love perplexes the moth who darts unblinkingly into the porch light. Filamental, she is compatible to late dusk or perceivable grief. Admonish and she's gone. Yet I conspire she longs for earth's untiring clasp, longs even, all preconceptions removed, to lay her orange and black chivalry down. Piano lesson. Maybe a Cold War bunker, the underground house built into the side of a hill. Only a staircase roof, single gable and shingled pitch. A cement floor, marl, shale, and ore, a sliding glass door, and gangly pine slope. In a ditch of goldenrod and aster, one could drink from a mineral tap, an aquifer of silt and sand, miles from the Little Miami. Springs of the Ohio River Valley worn soft under the earth's pressure and smooth as the Baldwin's keys. It filled the length of the mid-century room, a baleen with water-worn skin, semi-glossed, an unmoving pond's rim. Round its fluke and fin, taut strings, red felt dampers, wooden hammers, and gold-plated pins. The amber underside of its lid agape like a raven's wing. As ballet accompanist, the last of the provincial professions alongside farriers, shoesmiths, and piano tuners, she'd arrive with her canvas tote, dipping her head from side to side as her foot grazed brass pedals, scuffed shoehorns, heels hinged to floor below L-shaped limbs. She'd pore over compositions, publishers' proofs, notes fastened to staffs in sharp mathematical ink. Confined, composed from the grief of a son's too early death. Under the arc of a lamp we'd sit, solfeggetto split across a stapled page, monophonic, a toccata in distinct sixteenths when the phone would ring. We'd jump from bench and chair to chase, mid-lesson, cows back into their fence. She'd demonstrate Chopin's Prelude in B minor, then Haydn's Sonata in D major, the Allegro con brio, as I followed her fingers tripling below our chins. Your turn, she'd quip, and I'd take the barbed bars into bare hands, heeling to windward, ballast and keel, its night sail, its halyard spar, tussling worried lines by the bulb of a lighthouse moon. Eventually she'd see the map, suggest a change of tack. We'd compose our own, 2 pianists, 1 piano, upper and lower register, bow and stern, buoyed tips gliding like skiffs over matte crests, sharps and nuanced flats. I'd climb plywood steps over eyeing knots to the gravelly earth, the trident-starred sky. No war here, or even fear, only placid dark, a porous air in the pitch of night. And I just have one small one. Virgil's font. Despite the teacher's repeated promptings, he refuses to write in lower case, but instead forms rigid Roman capitals like Virgil's, scored from a thumb-grasped pencil grip. His chisel's a quill, his quill a graphite tip. At night he is thankful, he says, for opposable thumbs. Opposable, he puts his foot down. He simply won't yield to a medieval monk's hasty minuscules worn down in the dim scriptorium. His Ticonderoga jibes grand majuscules like Aeneas's Sicily-bound ships. His vessel's a fleet, his fleet adrift. Their bows rise and fall across the dashed lines of his composition book. It is Palinurus sleeping at a paper helm. His pitch pine tar, a rudderless hull. He brushes eraser dust like callous skin from a pumice stone. Yet still he fastens his bent gaze from Carthage toward Lavinium. Down the page his lead-gray A's spire out like sails from a ruled horizon.
Thank you, Katie. Next, we hear from David Giannini, whose most recent full-length collections include Already Long Gone, The Dawn of Nothing Important, In a Moment We May Be Strangely Blended, Mahap, The Future Only Rattles When You Pick It Up, and Faces Somewhere Wild. David was twice nominated for the Pulitzer Prize and the National Book Award. Porous Books, a book of prose poems, was published by Spuyten Duyvil in 2017. And numerous chapbooks of his poems and prose poems have been published by a variety of small presses through the years. And his poetry has been published in national and international magazines and anthologies. David's received Massachusetts Artists Fellowships Awards, the Osa and Lee Mays Award for Poetry, an award for prose poetry from the University of Florida, and a finalist award from the Nankatuck Review, and many more. He's been a gravedigger, beekeeper, taught at Williams College, the University of Massachusetts, and Berkshire Community College, and he taught preschoolers and high school students, among others. David was the lead rehabilitation counselor for Compass Center which he co-founded as the first rehabilitation clubhouse for severely and chronically mentally ill adults in the northwest corner of Connecticut. Welcome, David. You're unmuted. No, you need to unmute, David.
Okay, now how does that work now?
Sounds good.
Okay, well, thank you, Mark. My last name is pronounced Giannini, just so you know. Can you still hear me? My screen is flipping around a lot.
Totally hear you. Giannini.
Giannini, sì.
Giannini.
Sì,
Va
parli
bene, va
italiano.
bene. Va bene,
Va
Giannini.
bene. I thought I would read my new book, if anybody can see it, is Stones Are the First to Rise. I don't know why my screen keeps skipping around here. I'm sorry, I can't see you anymore.
We
Can
can,
you
we can
hear
see
me?
you.
Yeah,
You
we can
can.
see
Okay,
we can see
hopefully.
you, but it's kind of like there's a little bit interference going on. Maybe anyway, we'll give it a go and see what happens. Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Okay, well, let me just read from the title poem of my book. Stones Are the First to Rise is in two short parts. The first has the epigraph: "The stones talk to each other, just as we do," and that's from Kauchamatauta, U.S. West Coast tribal elder, to anthropologist linguist Jaime DeAngelo. Well, I'm trying to get this back. Okay, it won't work. Okay, so 1, rain pushing the night down through melting snow, entering earth. And we felt safe enough after the storm. We stayed in the ground. Night could then be turned over in the morning. The dark clods and puddles we didn't crush. Night was coming up through the soil and vanishing. Among our kind, that same small stone turning up as it did every year, always rising before us, blind eye in the night of dirt, filthy with what it couldn't see. As a child without a mirror can't see its smeared face. Nothing romantic or playful, nothing green, ancient. It seemed without knowledge of what or why it was, surfacing wet and splotchy, a single syllable, stone. And 2, in late spring, a man began telling the crushed stones of the truck in the truck bed, each had the right to remain silent. Not one listened. Then they were lifted higher and higher, dumped loudly into their gray language, their heaped syntax no one could decipher, on the ground. One rake deserves another, said a worker, as she and co-worker began spreading sentences of granite until the whole story became clear. The fresh path we could walk, listening to the small nouns, the ancient ones, turning under our feet, and how they depend, as we all do, on boundaries, boulders at the edge. All right. So I'm just providing a few flavors, I suppose we could call them, from the book. And I wanted to read, when I first read Katie Lehman's Monarch poem, and then I was in touch with her, I found myself writing another type of monarch butterfly poem, and it's dedicated to Katie Lehman. The monarch butterfly's orange and black means it's poisonous to birds. The male goldfinch sees not to taste its own colors on another creature. What do you see not to taste? Light's winged reflections in mirrors with nothing following? If between your eyelids flutters, you see the wingspan of poison in a glance, back away from the glass. Also, don't faucet. If you swallow, Narcissus will still the tap, but the fountain of youth will keep breaking and entering with the velocity of a monarch, white drops patching its wings. Monarch never perceives dust shadows knock into each other. Having no eyelids, monarch rests with eyes open in shrubs or trees at night, flicker fire in the flies. Every mirror has its threshold. Your reversed image transforms as the mirror peers from its thicket. When you entered the glass, you should have been warned about the lights and the colors, the savage ones. I have a longish sequence in the book called Old Neighbor, who was a mail order bride, an old woman when I knew her on Florida Mountain, Massachusetts. And I'll only read this first page of Old Neighbor, since it's in about 10 parts. When there is constant pain, smiling is a form of amnesia. Out of medicated silence and dysplasia, she gets up to sweep her porch. Dust has no life wish, but assembles like life forms. Bristles all grown the same way. A bent nail doesn't roll, a stale roll, a snail. Chairs wobble and distort, frenetic wicker legs shuffle. A table is its shifting green sow. Cats hiss each other behind wooden beams. Our neighbor notes through screens the frizzy heads of chickens in her yard and recalls the human skull never fully stops growing. Its bones in aging drift ahead. Her skin sags over eye sockets as the frowns of archways crumble. And she reads Yeats. Lapis lazuli, her ancient glittering eyes are gay. She lives the pain she manages, refusing my attempts to assist, and salvages for a little while longer that smile. So that was the first poem in that sequence. As I say, I'm just providing flavors, so to speak. This is another sequence of poems called Failure Suite. And I'll just read the first very short one. It has an epigraph from Mark Twain. Suppose you were an idiot, and suppose you were a member of Congress. But I repeat myself. Among throttle bottoms, mutton heads, jobbernows, and other elected dunderheads, a few will come to clarity, yes. Come as prisoners, come clean and confess. So, my humankind, as we go on for as long as truth has entrails, with some of you cuffed, choking on syllables, may we all come clean under the bright lights of failure. As I said earlier, I'm not going to extend any more into the more political realm. I think I've had enough of that for now. Let me read this very brief sort of statement poem that is for Robert and Elizabeth Murphy on the 20th anniversary of Dos Madres Press. Buddha gave us an illustrated edition of nothing, unnumbered and unsigned, published, read or unread, out to the multiverse, all our tended or unattended words, there. Now, just to end, I want my wife Pam suggested that I read this self-interview, which is Q&A. It's not very long, and it becomes a kind of prose poem, I suppose. So it begins with a question, of course. Why have you written so many poems about poetry? I didn't write them. They wrote me. I'm not being flip. That's the initial process or sense, sort of like this interview. I sense images and words sensing me. Then we proceed. I'm not sure what you mean. Automatic writing? No. Put it this way. Say I pick up a twig. Pretty soon the boss arrives, sees me with the twig, and demands that I make a board of it, out of it. How can you do that? That's not possible. Imagine. And then the twig starts growing and becomes flat, lengthening and widening, looking very rough sawn, but somehow handsome in its lines. What then? Soon the boss returns and commands me to make many boards of different sizes, milled and sanded, until I have enough to build a house. Yes, and I build a house, a good shack or a place of multiple rooms and stories. May I see one? You're in one now, with me. It's only partly finished. It still has drafts. We can be quiet and just listen. To what? If you have an ear for it, there are many sounds like many nails being hammered together into a larger structure. But each nail has a voice, like a bird brought forward through the words of our ancestors, but freshened. They are sometimes loud, other times not so. Poetry, pretty soon, excuse me, I'm having trouble seeing this. Pretty soon, many bits of the universe come to knock, enter, and participate, like you. Why do you build so many houses? I couldn't live anywhere else. Last question. Who is the boss? Beats me. So that's my somewhat humorous attempt to straighten out some answers to questions. Anyway, thank you very much. I couldn't see anyone this whole time because my screen is still not. Did you hear me? Did everyone hear me?
100%.
Oh, good. Okay.
All good. All good. Thank you. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Now we hear from Hilary Sideris, who is the author of the poetry collections Calliope from Broadstone, Liberty Laundry from Dos Madres in 2022, Animals in English, also from Dos Madres in 2020, The Silent Bee from Dos Madres in 2019, Un Amore Veloce from Calce Books, The Inclination to Make Waves, and Most Likely to Die. Her poems have appeared in numerous journals and anthologies. She's originally from Indiana and a long-time Brooklyn resident. She is co-founder and curriculum developer for CUNY START, a college preparatory program within the City University of New York. Welcome, Hilary.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's such a delight to be with all these poets who, some of whom I know only online or through their books, including Robert and Elizabeth, whose books are just so exquisite, and I'm so grateful for Dos Madres. I'm going to read a couple poems from Calliope, which is how we called my grandmother. My grandmother, who came from the island of Chios in the Aegean. We called her Calliope. And this is a book about names. So this is Margaret. When Italy was unified, the Savoy Queen inspired La Margherita pizza, red, white, green, newfangled like the flag. In my big fat Greek wedding, mortifying mothers dance and sing of palincaria, men who bring home calamaria, margaritaria, fruit and jewels from the sea, which explains why, when I tell my brother's bride her name means Daisy, she says Pearl. And I'm going to read a poem that I wasn't planning to read, but it's about monarchs, and that seems to be a theme tonight. So my sister's an environmental ethicist at Santa Barbara, University of California, and this is has an epigraph from something she wrote about monarchs. They elicit reflection on cycles of rebirth, renewal, or resurrection, owing to their mysterious emergence in radically altered bodily form from a tomb-like chrysalis. Monarchs. Imported tropical milkweed hosts petaludes, flying flowers, psyches in ancient Greek, named after William, Prince of Orange. A long bloom time means females stay, lay surplus eggs, and don't embark on their iconic pollinating odyssey. Monsanto makes amends, plants non-native species. When they are gone, when monarch means again only an inbred king, spots will emerge on the clear paper of my hands. Souls flutter by like floaters as I wait for sleep, see the red field inside my lids. So those two are from Calliope, and I'm going to read some poems, just like three, from a new manuscript, which is sort of about the inevitable failure of my marriage to a man whose language I loved, Italian. And he's a character named Vincenzo. in this series. So this is Vincenzo as Colombo. He stoops to prod a brown spot on the rug. Coffee stain, stray thread, dead roach. He crunches Cool Ranch Doritos, which he disdains. Head cocked, he pops one in my mouth. What do I think? A little stale? Ranchido? He studies words on my laptop like a chess game. How does it work? Do I try not to rhyme? Will it be in a book? Will I change his name? And a couple more. You may recall that Luigi Mangione assassinated United Healthcare's head, CEO. So this is about Luigi Mangione. Baby Lulu, as they call him, has many TikTok wives. One in Beijing cooks puttanesca with penne. My husband, which is Luigi Mangione, she says, stirring red pepper in her sauce, needs comfort food from his culture. Others cut wedding cake with their hero, whose black lashes and threaded brows, so tender and misunderstood, accentuate the necessary beauty of his deed. Does his anachronistic name kindle some ancient hope, conjure a revolution fought on Garibaldi's side against a crooked pope? Lesson learned, the Wall Street Journal intones. Tighter security, priority for CEOs. And Pinocchio comes up quite a bit in this manuscript. And so this is from chapter 28, in which Pinocchio runs the terrible risk of being fried in a pan like a fish. And that is from the Avventure di Pinocchio. And the last line, I should just say the last line in Italian, it is, I will eat you with all the more relish. And just a couple other things. Meglio così is better that way or better this way. Salsa di pomodoro is tomato sauce. Verissimo is very true. And pescatore is a fisherman. Okay. Vincenzo won't eat octopus. We saw the documentary, her wiles and guises, her accessories. They only live 1 year, I say, mouth full, making my case for chewing, swallowing, as if a shorter life meant less sentience. Octopuses think about next steps, unlike Pinocchio, who asks the pescatore in whose net he's caught, who wants to throw him in a pot, do you not hear that I reason and speak? Verissimo, the fisherman replies, and lets the puppet fish decide if he'll be slow cooked in salsa di pomodoro or skillet fried. He can't resist a fish he's never tried. Meglio così. Ti mangerò più volentieri. I will eat you with all the more relish. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hilary. Wonderful show. And I thank you all, especially, of course, Robert and Elizabeth Murphy, for putting this together, and Norman Finkelstein, Katie Lehman, David Giannini, Hilary and Hilary Sideris. And before we move on to the open mic section of this, we're going to hear from John Wessick, who's our technical director. and who has written over 1 million words in poems, short stories, and novels. Hundreds of his works have appeared in journals such as the I-70 Review, New Verse News, Patterson Literary Review, and Unlikely Stories. He is regional editor of the San Diego Poetry Annual, so feel free to whack him stuff over there, and host of the Gelato East Fiction Open Mic. His latest book, Reductio ad Absurdium, is a collection of parodies. John lives in Manchester, New Hampshire, and longs for gene editing to bring giant wombats back from extinction. John.
Thank you. I think I will piggyback off of some of David's poems and read this one called Foreign Languages. If you would talk to rocks, you must speak the language of rocks, the language of vibration and crystal perfection, nouns like limestone and granite, adjectives, card, cold, rough, and sentences longer than the age of the earth. If you would talk to stars, you must speak of gravity, hydrogen, and solar winds. But how can you talk to the architect of space and time with words that evolved huddling naked on the African savanna? Cosmic grammar confounds the mind when even the tiniest quarks and leptons make mathematics run screaming from the room. Once I thought I could enter the mind of God by speaking the language of God, but I can't support continents on my shoulders, nor can I fuse hydrogen into helium in my spleen. My words remain all too human.
Well, that was very eco poetry of you, John. I love it. Cosmic grammar. I'm up for that. And I adore your shirt this week. Looking so fine. Thank you for kicking us off, John. No one kicks off the open mic as well as John. He's always got something unique for us. And we do have a short and sweet poetry crew for you today in the open. We're going to kick off with Vicky. We love Vicky. We're never sure what Vicky's going to give us because she has such an extensive palette in her poetry toolkit. So, Vicky, what have you got?
Hi there. I've got a piece called Femunculus, which is the female version of the homunculus. Cashmere comfort wraps around the stunted body, with silks and satins on standby, ready to rub against the skin in pleasurable ways. Her haptic senses are on fire. They should be, with hands so huge they drag along the floor. Her spindly legs can barely keep her upright. She can't speak. Her tongue is so enormous it rolls out of her mouth as she dribbles. I know what she likes, though. I ought to. Toasted pine nuts with a quiet crunch, pieces of chocolate slowly melting. The tastes of caramel, citrus, and garlic. Her massive lips would smile with delight, if only they could. I understand. Her nose twitches. Jasmine and neroli bloom with all their intensity, but beware of landfill giving off methane and carbon dioxide. Let's revel in Calabrian bergamot instead. Why not add a fraction of yang that is more modern, apparently evoking high society and the excitement of horse racing and casinos on the Riviera? We should pay homage to Christian Dior's legendary love of flowers. Well, that's what the ads say anyway. Anything to mask odors caused by hydrogen sulfide and ammonia. Here's a thing. When she and I see the Grand Canal, say, a potential lover or a Rothko, what we really want to do is touch, or even better, bite.
Wow, I love her haptic senses are on fire. What a piece. What an amazing piece. Thank you so much, Vicky. I was hungry in parts and then we got to methane and rubbish dumps and I think I'm not so hungry anymore. That was wonderful. Thank you. Next we have Kurt Lovelace, who is going to give us something very fine. He always does. Thanks for being here. What have you got for us, Kurt?
Can you hear me okay?
Absolutely. You've got your like amazing high tech everything going on.
I hope so. This is a very short piece. It's called Snow Globed. Snow Globed. Seated in a cheap Swedish chair outside a faux French cafe, reading a German newspaper story about the Russian mafia's dealings with the Mexican cartels. I'm confused about the Argentinian World Cup made in China shirted Nigerian couple next to me drinking original sugar cold Chilean Coca-Cola, wondering why people think it's still an American drink.
Ah, that was awesome. I love the ending of that. I also have a collection of snow globes. Yes, I am that person who travels the world and brings home snow globes in her case. So, yep, absolutely love it. Love the idea of being snow globed. And I would also have a Chilean Coca-Cola if there was one here. Thank you, Kurt. We have my sister in poetry, Cindy Badass Hockman, who's going to read for us. She's always brilliant and has something sparky for us. Sin, what do you got?
Only in your mind. But I'm going to do one of my I Am the Girl poems because I recently sent out the manuscript. And of course it's going to be rejected, but I know you'll appreciate it. I Am the Girl. It's from a series, everyone. I did an I Am the Girl, And Cassandra and Paul Hetherington sort of flattered me by parodying it and writing their own I Am the Girl, I Am the Boy poem, which is all better than mine. I am the girl. I am the girl with the two-step tango. I am the girl with the do-si-do hips. I am the girl with the pirouette and plie. I am the girl with the Bolshoi ballet. I am the girl with the bleeding toes. I am the girl with the low limbo bar. I am the girl with the Hava Nagila. You better look it up if you're not Jewish. I am the girl with the ring around the rosy. I am the girl with the witch in the circle. I am the girl with the treasonous feet. Thank you.
I love the I Am the Girl poems. Sin, I think it's just you are the girl. You are amazing. I hope the manuscript creates many more reverberations of I Am the Girl poems around the world. That would be fun. Awesome. We always end our open with the only way we possibly can, the only way that I love to end it, which is with Bob Heeman, who's going to give us a little morsel of something we're going to take away for the rest, if you're in Australia, the rest of the day. If you're elsewhere, possibly into your dreams. Bob, we never know what you've got. It's always delightful.
Okay, thank you. Dimensions. The flower, not an excuse. The road, not an explanation. Each animal, a way of counting. The woman, only a replica. The machine, no more than a sound.
That's it, people. Marvelous. Love it. Absolutely. Don't even want to speak after that, actually. So, Mark, I'm just going to throw back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Thanks.
This is a little piece kind of to end this. It's called Piano Sonata in D sharp minor, which, by the way, there's only one other than this poem. Go and check it out. In praise of mute expressions, that which is beyond the waters, in the fluttering of a million wide-eyed lashes, or the eye in its rumba with the sun, in praise of the unapprehended, the wide-eyed, they who were once here, the upended and the up-and-coming, the confused and they who can become a parish, they who fish for minnows, those who watched with eyes smaller than yours, in praise of memory, of the heart's silver flask, in praise of disturbances, in praise of the tiniest of things, the walrus's whiskers, the sea slug's slow slither, the effluence of the Po River, all that Etruscan wine lost at the bottom of the Mediterranean, and a little tinkle of irony out in the darkness. Thank you guys for an amazing show.
Wow, the minnows knows, Mark. Listen, Mark, your
knows.
your birthday's coming up, right? We have another couple of gigs and coming up, right?
That's right. About 3 weeks, we got the birthday show going, and August 9 or 8, we have the Unlikely Books launch of my book Spells for the Wicked. So please join that, watch it online, and hope to see you there. Thank you for such a wonderful night. Thank you, Robert, and all the amazing Dos Madres poets. And lots of love to everybody. Take care. Good night.
Yow.